Maxis FIM Enduro World Championship moves to Europe for the first time in 2015, as Spain's southernmost region of Andalusia hosts the second round of the campaign. This year's world motorcycling capital Jerez is the venue for the first time in its history and welcomes not only the riders from the season opener 3 weeks ago, but also the first round of the Women's World Championship. The fast and technical super test pitted the riders against one another for the first time in Jerez, with Mattia Bellino of France dominating the 800-metre course in the outlying town of Guadalcacin to take a slim early lead. The Andalusian crowd cheered home favourites Cristobal Guerrero and Lorenzo Santolino to top 5 positions in the E1 category, but top-performing Spaniards elsewhere were eclipsed by the dominating French. Antoine Maillot was the fastest in E2 despite a finish line crash, with Christophe Nambertin making it a French lockout with the fastest time in E1.
También, y aunque tiene...
Marc Bourgeois conceded over 30 seconds to Christophe Nambertin just in the opening 2 tests of the day, as he had to fight his way back from only narrowly inside the top 10 to take 5th. Lorenzo Santolino was Cristobal Guerrero's closest rival as the Spaniards fought for the final podium place. The Sherco factory rider fell back alarmingly as the day went on and almost dropped to 5th. Guerrero only recorded top 3 times in a third of the tests in stage 1, but consistency through the day gave him his first podium finish of 2015. Finland's Eero Remes was only 6th after the super test, but took the second fastest times through 7 of the remaining tests to finish runner-up. Christophe Nambertin was the fastest in each of the 11 tests through stage 1 on his way to a second Enduro 1 win of the campaign. Already the championship leader, the Frenchman extended his advantage to 7 in the title race with an imperious victory. 5 nationalities represented within the top 5 in the E1 category of the Spanish Grand Prix. Home duo Cristobal Guerrero and Lorenzo Santolino both enjoying their best performances of the season so far. Jaume Betriu broke into the top 5 for the second scoring day in succession after he recovered from his own slow start to eventually take 5th. 10th after the super test, Johnny Aubert had a quiet day but recovered to 4th thanks to his performances in the cross tests. After a major crash left him 18 seconds back from the leader, Alex Salvini's stage efforts turned to a damage limitation exercise for 3rd. Pierre-Alexandre René held the lead heading into the penultimate test, but his desperation to extend his advantage saw him fall and lose out to Antoine Maillot. The Frenchman, fastest through 7 of the day's 11 stages, stretched his unbeaten run to 3 events since returning from an injury-hit 2014 campaign.
Today was difficult start. On the beginning I was not very easy with the riding. But I was very fast, so I was on the back and slowly I get the rhythm and come back. So in this condition, you know, it's very difficult track, so I'm very happy to win and I hope better tomorrow.
The top 4 positions have remained unchanged in each of the 3 season opening stages as the early pecking order becomes clear. 3 French riders occupy the top 4 positions.
Leo, the French rider.
Egar Leoc impressed in each of the cross tests on stage 1, but lost out elsewhere and only held on to 5th by less than 2 seconds. The only E3 rider to take a podium finish on both days in Chile, Matti Sestala was the man to miss out on a podium on stage 1 in Jerez. Italy's Manuel Moni was only a bit part player in Chile, but was a podium contender from the super test and throughout stage 1. Matthew Phillips was the provisional leader in the second half of the stage, but was eventually restricted to second place by Frenchman Mattia Bellino. The championship leader eked out a mere 15-second victory margin over the closing tests of the stage. A generally good day for the French, but Jeremy Tarou and Antoine Basset both struggled in E3. Mattia Bellino captures the championship lead with a 7-point swing over Matti Sestela that gives him an advantage of 3.
Que ha ganado en este primer día. Sí hay cava, en el frente hay mucho champán. Se nota, se nota.
Simone Albergoni benefited from late errors for Lorenzo Santolino and Marc Bourgeois and took 5th, despite being overhauled in the final test by the resurgent British rider Danny McCanny, who had to recover from a fall in the opening enduro test to take 4th. Cristobal Guerrero used his knowledge of dry, dusty Spanish terrain to take a second consecutive podium finish. Errors from his closest rivals on the day helped him to 3rd. A fall for Eero Remers on the first extreme test left him initially 3rd, but he quickly fought back to the runner-up position in Jerez. Christophe Nambertin continued his stunning whitewash by taking the fastest times in all of the tests on stage 2. Nambertin will go into Portugal next week with a 10-point advantage.
For me today was a very good day again. I had a good feeling with the bike again today. For sure in an enduro test, I win all enduro tests, so I'm very happy to win a new day with in E1 and big fight with Antoine for scratch, and I'm happy.
3 small crashes in the final 3 stages for Marc Bourgeois kept him from a top 5 finish, and after his strong opening performance in Chile, he slips to 5th in the title race. A good battle developing over 3rd overall.
Sin duda uno de los mejores en el mundo. Que hemos hecho realidad este gran sueño de traer un mundial de enduro hasta Jerez de la Frontera.
Loic Larieux was over a minute off the podium pace as he never really got to grips with the enduro test and failed to make up ground elsewhere in the lap. The Frenchman headed a group chasing 5th. The extreme tests were Johnny Aubert's weakness on stage 2 as he eventually dropped 16 seconds back from Pierre-Alexandre René in the chase for the final podium position. René nonetheless continued to slip from the championship lead as he only managed 3rd on stage 2 in Jerez. The Frenchman was 10 seconds down on the leader after the opening lap. Never looked like recovering from there. Alex Salvini was already 8 seconds down by the end of the first lap, and 7 further dropped seconds in the second cross test left him with far too much work to do as he had to settle for 2nd behind Antoine Maillot. The Frenchman was almost cost victory by a lap 3 error on the enduro test, but he held on against 2 late challenges with a 10-second margin. Five different manufacturers occupied the top 5 positions in E2. Unbeaten from the opening 4 stages of the new campaign, Antoine Maillot has a sizable 14-point advantage.
Y pedimos la subida a podio también. ¡Pela! Bueno, por los franceses, ¿eh? Vaya los franceses. ¡Pela, lo rápido!
Matthew Phillips was 7 seconds faster than his nearest rival in the first cross test and sat just 3 seconds from the leader. The Australian's lack of consistency eventually dropped him to 5th. Manuel Moni was a contender for a 2nd consecutive podium on stage 2 but found his best form too late in the day. The Italian only starred on the final lap. Jonathan Barragan was the lap 1 leader, but a fall in the 4th special dropped him to 5th and cost him 23 seconds that he would never fully recover. Matti Sestela was never fastest in any of the specials, but almost managed to take the victory through sheer consistency. Enduro 3 was again the most closely fought category on stage 2, and it was Mattia Bellino who returned to top spot for a 3rd time in 2015. The Frenchman took the category by just over a second. 7 different riders had fastest times through the specials, and the distance from 1st to 6th place was just 17 seconds at the end of the day in E3. 3 wins out of 4, Mattia Bellino leads by 6 overall.
Y pedimos la presencia de el finlandés el primero, no me lo creo. Un finlandés el...
The European season kicked into full swing in Jerez, but despite home hopes in Spain, 3 French riders will lead the 3 senior categories to Portugal in a week's time.